This is Family Time, and I'm your host, Amanda James. And this family time is about your issues, your relationships, and your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please join in via all our platforms Facebook and YouTube, which are live, and via Instagram. I'm Amanda James, and because we're celebrating our fathers all this month, our topic today is Now You're a Father, What's Next? Co hosting is a father, Roland Gayle. How are you doing, Daddy Roland? How are you?
I am doing well, and I am basking from yesterday when I was treated like a king.
Wow,
And I
that's
want to
nice.
say to I want to say to our listeners, some of you are fathers right now. And it could be that you're a father for the first time, for the second time, for the third time. However many times you've been a father, what does fathering look and feel like to you? How do you father? How do you manage the responsibilities and all the other hats that you have to wear? Is it any different for single fathers or stepfathers or adoptive fathers or grandfathers? You guys have to do it over and over again. But what we want to know is that there is a reality that sets in, and we want to hear what you think about the 18 years that you have to be totally legally responsible for your children. 18 years. Apparently, that's the law, right? Does it go beyond that, by the way? Is it once a father, always a father?
Right. And while we discuss all that and more, we want to hear from you. How did you spend your Father's Day? So, fathers, we ask you to send your responses via WhatsApp text and voice notes. And please make sure they are no longer than 30 seconds long. Send that to 876-997-3125. That's 876-997-3125, or call the studio lines 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. You can also watch us and comment live on Love 101's Facebook and on YouTube. We'll be right back with our special guest, Associate Counseling Psychologist Kevin Bailey. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go nowhere.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
At Flow, we are determined to get it right. Now, over 60% of Jamaica has access to our Fiber Fast network, with over 800 communities being upgraded since 2020. And there's more to come. Everything we're doing is inspired by our harshest critic, you. Join Jamaica's Fiber Fast network and rediscover Flow today.
Chrissy, summer's coming up. What are you going to do?
I don't know, I'm just glad school is going on a break.
Yeah, me too. I want to go somewhere nice with my mommy and daddy.
Did you know Love 101 is going on the road? I wonder if my grandma would let you guys come with me and my family to I Love Summer.
I love summer? What's that, Chrissy?
I Love Summer is Love 101 FM's road show. They're going to 8 different parishes to talk to kids, and they'll have giveaways and prize, kiddie village, games, contests, and activities for everybody in the family, even kids.
For real? That sounds like a lot of fun. I want to go. I'm going to ask my parents if we can go. Will they have food?
Of course, food is on sale. Food vendors on the location. Nice natural juice from Clarendon Blends and plenty more. I know you love your belly, so you'll be alright.
Yes, I know my auntie and brother will want to come too. So this is going to be fun.
Yep, so we can play together with our friends when we go. This is why I love summer.
I love summer. Saturday, June 24, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Spanish Town Shopping Center, right by the clock. Live on Love 101 FM, the family station, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Welcome back to Family Time. Welcome back. We are on Love 101, and welcome to the man, the big man, the voice you're used to seeing and hearing on Love 101's The Mailbox, Sir Kevin Bailey. He's an associate counseling psychologist at Family Life Ministries, and he is our special guest for this evening. How are you, sir?
I am fine. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Amanda. Great to be with you both.
Great
This
to
is
have
a
you.
wonderful opportunity, and good afternoon to your listeners. And happy belated Father's Day to the many fathers who have been working very hard, committed, some serious men, whether they're grandfathers, fathers, biological, or otherwise, those who have adopted or foster care. But the gamut of fathers who are just there, being very courageous, very committed, and we want to celebrate them. So great to be with you both.
Absolutely.
Great to have you,
Absolutely.
Mr.
Thank
Bailey.
you.
Great
Thank
to have
you.
you. And before we really start, we just want to remind our listeners that we want to hear from you. And the question is, how did you spend your Father's Day? So we just ask you to WhatsApp your text and voice notes. Please make sure they are no longer than 30 seconds long and send that to 876-997-3125. Watch us and also comment live on Love 101's Facebook and YouTube page. Or you can call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. And before we blink and the time is up, let's get this topic going. So, Mr. Bailey, in your own words, who would you say a father is? And of course, you can make it as relatable as possible to our listeners.
Sure. So a father is the male parent, and that is significant because there is a role for the male parent versus the female parent. And in God's wisdom, both persons are vital to giving roots and wings, nurturing that child. And that child has eternal perspectives as well. So it's not just to be alive on planet Earth, but also a soul that has eternal perspective. So the male parent would collaborate with the female parent as much as possible, and a responsibility to nurture that child, making sure that the needs are met, both physical, psychological, and spiritual, and allowing that child to grow and develop so that that child, girl, boy, can become citizen that makes a contribution to society. So that's how I would put it.
Thanks for sharing, Mr. Bailey. Roland, I don't know if you have any questions for Mr. Bailey. You can just go ahead.
I have a bunch of questions, and I know that he's going to
Mhm.
bowl. He's when I bowl it, he's going to knock it out of the park. But one of the questions I would want to ask straight off is, what do you mean by male parent? Does he have to be biological? Does he have to be the immediate parent of the child? What do you mean by male parent?
Right. No, thanks for that question. So we do have parents who are biological, and that's the genes passing through, but they are parents because of adoption or foster care, or
Mhm.
sometimes it's because of circumstances. The male is the one that takes the position of being father. Sometimes it's the grandfather, sometimes it's an uncle. In fact, sometimes there's a sibling, or sometimes it is a stranger that takes over the
Mhm.
role of
Mhm.
parenting. And the important thing is that this child gets love and support, as we put it, or unconditional love, with discipline, and allowing the child to grow to become fully mature, as it were. So you're very right. Many males have taken on this role of fathering, even though they are not the biological father. And sometimes it's because of blended families, and we now have stepfathers, or fathers that step in and they take the role of fathering. So we can extend it. The important thing to the child is that the child just get this sense of masculine representation, which is different from feminine representation. And God sees it fit that the father would introduce that girl to the world to say, this is how a man is supposed to treat a woman, whether it's my wife or whether it's my daughter. And also, if it's a boy, an introduction that this is what male masculinity and responsibility looks like, to glorify God and make a contribution to the earth. Very
Right.
important.
Right, right. Thanks so much for sharing, Mr. Bailey. I think I want to just quickly touch on the preconceived ideas of fatherhood versus the reality. And one which came to mind was, many persons would say, this is my mother who fathered me. I don't know what's your take on that. I know that a lot of persons refer to that statement, especially in a single parent, home. How would you address that if someone says, around you or say to you, do you think that my mother can actually father me? What would you say, Mr. Bailey?
Right. So my understanding, and I have to big up single mothers, those who have stepped up and have done a tremendous job. My mother was a single mom. Yeah, very, very huge responsibilities. My mother got pregnant when she was 17. And that I am the product. And this was her second child. And she the first one was at 15 years old. And she did a tremendous work. Of course, I must tell you, there was deficit because my father was not in my life. And I suffered from that, feeling rejected and abandoned and wanting male connectivity, and did all kind of foolishness in my teenage years because of my search for that. So the answer is no. A mother cannot father a child. A mother can mother a child because there are certain things that the man represents. First of all, his testosterone level is very high, and his way of thinking, then because of his physical body and the identification of certain parts of his body, that the son can get this connection and look at a father, sees how he operates. The father normally comes with a different approach to parenting than the wife. And so the child would benefit from both. So we don't want two mothers, we don't want two fathers. We want a complement of male female collaboration for the betterment of the child. That's how
Thanks.
I would answer it, Amanda.
Thanks. Very thorough, Mr. Bailey. And I like the fact that you have honored our single mothers because indeed I'm pretty sure that must be hard, to play that role. But big up to the single mothers. Roland, I don't know if anything you want to share
Yes,
or
and
great.
boy, I wish there was a way that love could kind of just make a little promo out of what he just said. You cannot have two mothers, you cannot have two fathers, and
Right.
just play that a little bit. Just play it maybe for the rest of this month, and this month in particular. But sir, you began by talking about the eternal ramifications of fatherhood, and I would love if you could expand on that a little bit. What are the eternal ramifications of fatherhood? To me, that's so important.
Yes, no, thank you, Roland. The important thing is that once we're on planet Earth, we have a choice of choosing Jesus Christ to be our Lord and recognizing God as our Father. And if we do that, we're told by Scripture, the sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross, because of his blood, we're now joined heirs with him. It means that when we die, or if he comes before, we spend eternity with God. That's a huge thing. And if not, there is the lake of fire, according to the scriptures, which we believe, where he would say to some, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make a rule over many. And others he will say, depart from me, I do not know you. So when we bring forth a child, is not just to exist on planet Earth, as significant as that is, but is a soul that has eternal perspective. And are we ready to guide and train that child in that spiritual discipline, as well as you equip the child with the foundational truths? You know, there are four foundational truths that children should get by parents, you know, which is demonstrated by their words and their behavior. One is they must get it and believe it, that they are lovable, they are loved. So unconditional love is very important. That child must get it and be convinced that they are lovable. Secondly, they must get it that they are valuable. They have value. In fact, invaluable. Who can purchase them? Because they're created in the image of God. So secondly, that they're valuable. And thirdly, that they're capable. They have talents, they have abilities, they have giftings, they have the image of God imprinted upon their brain. So they are here to make a contribution on planet Earth to glorify God and to do very well, be fruitful and multiply. And finally, that they are forgivable. Forgivable. Why? Because we're imperfect. They will make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. The only perfect person was Jesus Christ, right? So all of us, from they're trying to walk and they stumble, we don't tell them, sit down, don't fall, don't fall. No, we encourage them. And so for the rest of the time that we have them, we must exercise a spirit of forgiveness as well, because God has forgiven us so many times. So those four foundational truths are very, very important. And what I would say is, as parents, how do we communicate to our children in a way that they come to believe these truths? That they are loved, that they are valuable, that they are capable, and that they're forgivable. We would set a good foundation to build their sense of self, their self-esteem. As God has said, they're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Sir
Right.
Kevin, when I spoke earlier about you knocking the ball out of the park when I bowl it, right? I was only joking. You never have to knock it so far. But what I wanted to ask you as well is in regard to the responsibility of the father. That is eternal as well. He is going to be held
Uh,
accountable, right?
Right.
so right, so right. No, that is true. I'm glad you mentioned that, because in scripture the man is called to be the head, and leadership, which is
Yes.
responsibility. And the Bible puts it, husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church and was willing to die.
Yes.
That's a major responsibility, that's bigger than the one the woman has, as far as I am concerned. I am still
So
trying to.
Bailey, let's not go there. Please, let's not go there, Mr.
But it's
Bailey.
Roland, it's Roland is the one that carried me there.
No, and if he was unfair, I'm the only female here. Okay, so it's two versus one. You all are going to win. Okay.
Yeah, but awesome
Oh my.
responsibility, awesome
Indeed, I agree. So much.
responsibility, and very serious, which we ought to take seriously, and it should help in how we prepare our young men, so
Right.
that they understand the seriousness and the commitment, and that they honor the females in a way that Christ showed us, which is a very big thing. So
Indeed,
thanks for that
indeed.
reminder, Roland.
Right. I want to just quickly touch on this before we head into our next break. And fathering styles. No, I mean, my father passed on some years ago. May his soul rest in peace. And I must admit, my father spoiled me just a little. But I know for fathering styles, it varies, But I realize that maybe you have some fathers who really spoil their children, give them their own way. Then you may have some who are very firm, and autocratic. And then you have the in between. What type of fathering style do you recommend, Mr. Bailey? And is there any that's better than the other? I would love to quickly hear from you regarding that.
Sure, I'll just say quickly and we can come back to that. But based on research, there are four major parenting styles. Is the father, male parent. One is the neglectful fathering, neglectful fathers. They don't have enough time. They don't spend enough time. They might be away so very, very often. And even if they're there, they're not there emotionally. They're not connecting spiritually. So they actually neglect the child. And that is not effective. The child feels rejected, abandoned,
Right.
unwanted, and it affects the sense of self. And then you have the permissive or laissez-faire style, which pretty much allows the child to have his or her own way. And that is the spoiled one, not just little spoil, but big spoil. That you don't want to do homework, you go bed anytime. You can whoever you want to go out with, stay over. So there are no healthy boundaries set. There's no discipline, as it were, but it's more pretty much my body, my friend, and I allow you to have a free reign. And then when that child grows up, low emotional intelligence, the world slaps them, and they realize that you have consequences to behaviors, and that the spoiling just never work. And then there is the authoritarian. Authoritarian is like a drill sergeant. Sit down, don't move. Children must be seen, not heard. There's no feedback. There's no communication because I am in charge and you do exactly what I say. And it's amazing that you may get obedient children. They will follow through, as it were, on the legal framework, but they lack emotional intelligence. They lack empathy
Oh.
because there was no opportunity for them to share their own thoughts, their feelings. And as they grow, can you imagine during all their teenage years and puberty and all the changes that are happening, and they're stifled, as it were, and that can bring forth resentment, rebellion. So you may have a follow through, is almost like the letter of
Yes,
the
sir.
law, but not the spirit, and there's no relationship. And what we normally say, rules without relationship leads to rebellion. Rules without relationship leads to rebellion. It has to be relationship and rules. So it's love and limits in order to give the balance. And the final one, of course, is the authoritative, as a distinction from authoritarian. Authoritative is where you balance both the love, unconditional love, and the limits where the
Right.
discipline is concerned. Based on research, you now get to mold a child and they understand that they are loved, you're patient, you're kind, you're empathetic towards them. They feel loved, they feel safe in this place, they feel trustworthy, they can trust you. And at the same time, you are teaching them, you are discipling them so that no, if you say no, if you point out danger, there are consequences, and that's where you apply discipline. You're training them as well. So you balance both as well. And the research says that that style is the best one that we should really strive for.
Thanks for sharing, Mr. Bailey. And just a quick point before I hand over to Roland. Um, it's a big deal. It really does matter how fathers impact their children or grow them or their fathering styles, the ones that they use, because what happens, right, Mr. Bailey, I'm pretty sure you can confirm, is a continuation generationally of what is learned if there's no interruption, well, by God or by a mentor or someone, or even by the father, just in doing some introspection to say, you know what, maybe I'm using the wrong approach. Let me stop. It can create more, damage than good if the wrong fathering style is applied. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Bailey?
Definitely. And there are some good things that we can take from our family of origin because all of us have experienced parenting and we may have had one style or the other very strongly represented where we're coming from. What we have to do is to, based on the resources we're getting and the information and the research and all of these things now, we can either forget some of those things which were very abusive. Yeah, there are some. My grandmother would fling anything, shoes, iron, pick, whatever it is, you know.
Oh dear.
But you now have to decide some good things that you can carry forward in your new family and some things you
Right.
want to stay out. And then with the new information now, we can take those in and incorporate them. I want to give a plug for the book at Family Life there, written by Dr. Barry Davidson and Dr. Faith Linton. Answers to questions parents ask. It's a great book that every parent or those who have young people to kind of nurture, to read, because these are scholars, as you know, psychologists, educators that have been around for a long time. And so if there's anything that come close to a resource or a directive, a Bible as it were, for children or parenting, I want to recommend this book at Family Life Ministries.
Thanks, Mr. Bailey. Over to you, Roland.
Yeah, that's excellent, sir. And the way that you described the different styles for us was extremely helpful to me. And what I want to ask you is if you could kind of just take us through the idea that the style may actually change depending on the type of child or depending on the age of the child. Is that a reasonable thing for me to ask you? If, for example, a child who has a different temperament from another child, would they be best served by just authoritative parenting, fathering, or would there be a case for a particular child at a particular time of life getting a different style of fathering?
No, thank you. My understanding is that the authoritative style is pretty much the standard for all the children, except when you're dealing with different personalities or temperament. For instance, the strong-willed child. A strong-willed child would be very demanding, confrontational, one that easily challenges your authority. And we know with a strong-willed child, you know have to vary your discipline, or you discipline that child, because you can't fight fire with fire. A strong-willed child, the more that you push them with fire is the more fire you get, and you can lose the relationship. In fact, I normally tell parents, if a strong-willed child shouts, then you have to talk below the shouting. You don't shout, because you're training that child that even when they're angry, even when they feel lack of self-control or internal locus of control, they are able to monitor their feelings and they can still take a deep breath and speak respectfully. What happened to parents sometimes, because they're triggered, and it's so, after all, I am the man, I am the father, I'm the mother, whatever, you don't talk to me like that. But what we fail to recognize is that we're getting an opportunity to teach, we're an opportunity to model the kind of behaviors that we want the child to get. So many times what happens is that we are doing a lot of correction, but it's because we haven't taught. We're trying to teach, we're trying to correct things we have never taught. And so we now have to decide, how am I going to show emotional intelligence with this difficult situation where I am threatened to behave in a particular way? But I remember I am the adult, I take a deep breath, and I deal with it. So I must be honest, many persons, even when you reach like teenage years, where they're coming into their own and asking, who am I? And they feel invincible and the world revolves around them. They're challenging your authority and moving away from your authority to their peers. How do you deal with that? You are still significant in their life and they want that, but you shift. You come alongside, you ask more questions instead of giving a directive, like you do that, move that, and so. No, they have a brain now. Their cognitive development is of such that they can reason. You can ask them questions, and for them to come to the answer on their own, you're building up their sense of self as well. So we can vary, but we come back to always, I want you to know I love you unconditionally, and I want you to know that there are consequences to choices. Those two things are very important, and we want whatever the temperament, we want them to know that.
Oh, that's lovely, sir. Thank you so much. Time is getting away from us, so we want to remind our listeners and our viewers that we want you to share how you spent your Father's Day. We're looking forward to what you have to say, so just share with us. WhatsApp 997-3125, and you can comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube. Or you can call the studio lines 968-8327, 968-8328, and you can participate that way. I know that Mr. Bailey would be happy to answer any of your questions or comments and so on. So just touch base with us, all right? When we get back, we're going to be here. Join us. Don't go nowhere, okay?
So you are a father. What does that really mean? Whether you are a young father, an old father, or a seasoned father, here are 3 principles that should help you be a better father. Number 1, affirm your child. In other words, tell your child that you love him or her. Let them know that they are beautiful and intelligent, handsome and pretty. Those are positive affirmations. I remember a young lady telling me that growing up, her father never let her know that he loved her or that she was pretty. She said, "Rev, the very first man that told me that in my teenage years, I fell for him." Young father, if you don't affirm your children, they may fall for the wrong person. Number 2, give your child presents. Let's spell that right. Presence. In other words, give them your time, especially the watershed moments in their lives, like school graduations and closing programs, performance events, whether or not they are starring the show. Be there for your child with presence. Again, that's Presence. Number 3, pursue the prodigal child. Families sometimes have children that turn away from the expectations of their parents. Sometimes we give up on children who go wrong. But if God has not given up on you, and you know he hasn't, don't you dare give up on your child. In Malachi 4 verse 6, God says he will turn the hearts of the parents to their children and the hearts of the children to their parents. Come on, fathers, new, old, and seasoned. Let's follow these heart-turning principles and do our part to nurture our children so that Jamaica land we love will not be struck with destruction. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
Come does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bash quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Bashco. Store that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, bed linen, everything for your kitchen, rugs, mugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to Good Morning Minister, a weekly feature where government ministers will speak about the development in their various ministries. Listen for the updates and have your questions and concerns ready to share inside Good Morning Minister as the Minister of Information, Robert Nesta Morgan, and a guest minister or agency head discuss the issues and take your questions and suggestions. Get ready to call in during Good Morning Minister, 11 a.m. on Wednesdays, right here on Love 101, the family station.
And we're off. Yes, folks, I Love Summer begins with pull-up number 1.
And Spanish Town, tag, you're it. Yes, indeed. The Spanish Town Shopping Center, right by the clock, comes alive Saturday, June 24, with a whole day of fun, games, prizes, and entertainment for the whole family.
Meet the Love FM team, dance and praise with music by DJ Rebirth.
Hear me, the youth and youths. You better listen out. Of course, I'll be there to bring you the hottest mixes
and remixes and refixes.
And passing through to lively up the place, Lubert Levy and Odia Spencer. I love summer a keep, and you have got to be part of it. So rock and come in,
and let's make it the place to be.
Hey, KG, Deidre, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. The question is, can Spanish Town handle it? I know they can.
Loads of fun are about to be unpacked. So yes, Spanish Town, let's go.
I love summer. Saturday, June 24, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Spanish Town Shopping Center, right by the clock.
Live on Love 101 FM, the family station, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
I love summer.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. Our special guest today is Sir Kevin Bailey, and my co-host is Amanda James, and she's the rose among the thorns.
Don't say that.
We're discussing. Well, I probably am. I know Sir Kevin is not. But what we're discussing today is, now that you're a father, what next? Were or are you, as a dad, prepared for the reality of it all? Are you able to manage the responsibilities and the challenges, the joys and the rewards? And this is a big question now. Were you a father by chance or by intention? Some big questions there. Sir Kevin, we've been discussing quite a lot, and I just want to ask you to just identify and be specific about one thing. What are the father's responsibilities?
Okay, I believe a number of things and expectations from society as well, based on the scriptures. I think fathers have the responsibility to collaborate with the parent of the child, so that the child gets the benefit of male-female contribution. Very important, this collaboration. And ideally, it would have been nice if it is in marriage, as ordained by God, male-female in communion with God. However, because we're in a real world, there's sometimes death, divorce, separation. And so it is important then that whoever it is, if it is female, that there's a male identified that can serve almost as a replacement. And if it's mom alone, if mom alone, and if there's father alone, that there's a female replacement as well, can get that in aunts and grandmothers and great friends as well. And then we talk about provision, providing for the child, their needs, basic needs. If we follow Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, you have to take care of simple things like food, clothing, shelter. And then there are higher order needs that the child wants, emotional connection. And the father has that role that is so necessary to hug the child, to be able to have non-sexual physical touch, so that the young daughter knows the difference. And if she feels unsafe, she can talk to the parent. And then the boy as well must get this physical connection in a non-sexual way, because we would die of skin hunger. There's a thing called skin hunger that all of us, we need physical contact for us to be emotionally well as well. God made us like that, and the biology of it. So you're talking about provision, but provision is not just to meet the deep emotional needs and the physical needs. It's a provisionary, almost like, what's the direction of the family? What's the vision, that provision of where the family is going? As the father really should be hearing from God and getting a direction as to say, who do we define this family? What's the brand? What's our brand in this family? What are the values that we have? What are the strong values? Is it integrity? Is it a commitment to spiritual values? Is it honesty? Is it that everybody is accepted? we need to clarify certain values so that it sets a culture, that because it's easier when the father set that tone for the entire family to follow than if it's just the mother, especially when you have boys. And that's why it's so crucial that the father understand there are some responsibilities. So there's the
Sir, I am so sorry to cut you, but
yeah,
you just put in something there that I would love for you to expand on a little bit. That business about the brand of the family, the father having the vision. Can you kind of like illustrate that for us? Can you give us an idea how that works in real life?
right. So I am taking it for one, with God creating Adam and giving him the mandate, to take care of the garden. He was given work before woman, right? So he has this responsibility, and God would have said some things to him which he should have passed down to wife and to children. So he would be held responsible. And this kind of relationship as spiritual leaders mean that the man, the father now, should be there hearing from God, and because of his sense of purpose, would say, I want this family to represent certain characteristics. I would like this family to be a family of integrity. We thrive on honesty and truth and openness. That's a big brand, because some families, there's a lot of lies and secrecy and deception. It's devastating. No, when you think of God being the father and he wants intimacy, we jokingly say, into me you see, right? But we we as fathers must create that space. So we're gonna have that intimacy with our wives. We're gonna set the tone, and then we're gonna clarify the values. In this family, we respect each other. We do not lie to each other. There are certain values. We don't smoke in this family. And we can, every family has their set of values. And what the father can help, with the help, of course, with his wife, his female partner, is to clarify these values so that when the family is operating, they come right back to those values as the standard. In this family, it's good to have devotion, whether it's once a week or ever so often, but we'll meet around the dinner table and we would give thanks. We're grateful. That's a brand. Some people forget to give thanks. So it's just clarifying those things. And different families, some have fun, like laughter, there's humor, there's vacation. All of these things help. In my family, we have a thing called taster. Like before you eat, there's a particular dumpling that everybody can taste. And so that's a ritual. So everybody call it taster. And people have their own idiosyncrasies, right? But it does add a unique thing to your own family as well.
I'm going to teeth that one, sir.
All right. No, that's
Dumpling thing
fine.
has me. It has me getting hungry, right? Right. I think just quickly before we move into our final break, Mr. Bailey, we should just ask you the question. How does one know when a father has done his work well? Like, what's the mark of a good father if we were to just really tie everything you said before together? How would what the mark is of a good father? How do you know he has done his
Wow.
work well?
And I'm gonna answer that. I just wanted to add in roles for the father, there should be the mentor role and the lover role. Just to add
Right.
those, a teaching role. Now, I don't know where I heard this. I think it's either Dr. Davidson that said it, that if it requires a perfect father or perfect parent to have perfect children, God would only have perfect children, right? And that is humbling, because God is really the perfect father, and yet sometimes we stray, sometimes we rebel, sometimes we, like the prodigal son, we disappear and we come to our senses. So sometimes it's the ending that that, my gosh, what you taught, what you modeled really took effect. But what I would say is this, is that if you know that you have done a good job when you seek wisdom, when you're humble enough to realize that you need a community to help to raise your children, that you alone cannot do it. You need the expertise and the experience of others who would make a contribution. And then you really try to model what love looks like, being patient and kind, and trying not to be, try to be impartial, and try to create a safe space where each child feels valued, that they're not compared to each other, and we're not involved in shame-based parenting, but we are empowering them to love God, to love self, and to love others. That's how I would put it, as Jesus would say, how can we communicate by our words and our behaviors that it is so important that you hunger and thirst after God, that you seek him first, and get connection, to get his wisdom, and get his because he's all loving and all powerful and present.
Sorry to interject a little, Mr. Bailey, because we want to just quickly head into our final break, and you can just continue when we return. So we're heading into our final break. This is Family Time, live on Love 101 FM, YouTube, and Facebook. And it's produced by Family Life Ministries. For our social media interaction, we want to know, how did you spend your Father's Day? Please let us know via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes. And the numbers are 876-997-3125. On the Love 101 Facebook page, you can also send us a note there on Love 101's YouTube channel, or call the studio lines 876-968-8327 to participate. Now You're a Father, What's Next with Kevin Bailey. Don't go away. There's more to come.
We can light up your world with the rays of the sun, putting pure energy in the palm of your hand.
For over 20 years, Phosphorus has been putting a world of energy in your hands. Now we bring you big savings with our line of solar energy products and LED lighting. Financing now available for all your home and commercial retrofit projects. Consult with our in-house staff or certified professional engineers for all your electrical needs. Phosphorus lifestyle. It's Phosphorus, your energy world.
Here's why you can't afford to miss the Morning Watch.
I love listening to the Morning Watch because topics are discussed and issues are highlighted that are of major importance, which in turn edify me.
The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I like listening to the Morning Watch. I find it very informative. I find it very interesting. The topics that are covered are very, very wide.
The Morning Watch, thought-provoking, insightful, current. Listen for the probing questions with Attorney at Law Stokely Marshall and the in-depth discussion with Reverend Dr. Dallin Toussaint. On Tuesdays, the Morning Watch is brought to you by Holtz Hardware, the leader in electrical building and everything for the home, and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, achieving prosperity through partnership and development. The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The Morning Watch is on the family station, Love 101.
Jamaica's gangs are like packs of rats. They live in filth and try and drag us all in there with them, spreading the disease of violence and corruption everywhere. But like a pack of rats, they can be eliminated with your help. If you have information on gangs, call Crime Stop on 311. This message is brought to you by Crime Stop and their marketing partners, Lime and NCB.
When I wake up in the Walton Park New Testament Church of God presents Higher Place, Perfecting the Art and Heart of Worship, a conference and a vertical worship experience. Pastor Andrea Roberts, Joel Notice, from overseas, Isaiah Raymond, and O'Neill Watson, hosted by Nadine Blair. Admission is free. Just take an offering. It's Wednesday, June 28 at 65 Waltham Park Road, New Testament Church, 6:30 p.m. It's a conference where you will learn, you will grow, you'll be taken to a higher place. Don't miss it. Do you have a heart condition, your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
You're muted, Roland.
Welcome back, welcome back. I'm muted, so I'm going to talk fast, all right, because I want to catch up with time. And it is now 6:21 p.m. in this lovely island of Jamaica. You're tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. And Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Listen out for our numbers in Kingston and Portmore at the end of this program. Remember, we are on Facebook and YouTube Live. The topic today is Now You're a Father, What Next? And we have with us Sir Kevin Bailey, our Associate Counseling Psychologist. Big talk. I love this program. I really love this program. Sir, we don't have a lot of time left. This program runs. Do you have any words of advice and encouragement for our fathers that are listening?
Sure, thanks, Roland, Amanda. I would say fathers should recognize that it's a difficult job. It's one of the most difficult jobs on the face of the earth. It requires everything you have and what you don't have. But then there is help. There are resources, there are people. So seek support, ask for help, fathers. And love is being patient and kind. Be patient and kind to your child, and it's easy if you're patient and kind to yourself first, right? So be patient and kind, and remember, sometimes as fathers we work very hard, we give and we give, but we do not replenish. So we want to be able to self-care, nurture ourselves, and the collaboration again to make sure that we respect the child's mother if we're not together, and work on forgiveness, very, very important for the benefit of the child. The child must take preeminence, as it were. And also, I think it's an humbling experience to learn. As you are parenting, you're going to be learning from your child. Try and know the personality of your child. What is the weakness and the strengths? And remember, their strengths, you can hone the skills and help them to shine, and their weaknesses are opportunities for growth and development. Do not compare them with others. You really want them to feel special and stay in their own lane. And remember to exercise forgiveness as you work through. We are not perfect, but if we operate from that place of love and make sure that they understand that there are consequences, that they are disciplined in the right way, I think we would do a great job. And humor is very important. Time for laughter.
Yes.
Children want to feel that the environment is safe and fun. So put in fun activities, plays therapy for our children. We come down to their size. We don't look towering over them like always. But when we play with them, they feel safe. And that is very therapeutic as well.
Sorry, did you say play is therapy?
Yes.
That's what. Okay.
Right.
Good.
Right. Very, very, very therapeutic for our children, and so they need to be able to enjoy an environment. Just humor, playful stuff, being foolish, while you're balancing the serious time. They're gonna love that as well. I had to tell you, my son had to go away for extended time, like 21 days. And he was maybe 4 or so, and I called him and I said, "Do you miss me?" And he said, "Daddy, I miss you so much." And I said, "What do you miss about me?" And I'm expecting him to say, when I read Bible stories to him, when I pray and put him to bed, etc. And he said, "Daddy, I miss the wrestling. I miss the wrestling." Can you imagine what a spiritual answer?
Mr. Bailey, you have us cracking up.
No,
I'm telling you, I'm really making my notes. I'm not yet a parent, but definitely making my notes. And I know as we wind down under the topic of advice and encouragement and tips, what really came back to mind also, Mr. Bailey, is the love languages. You know, I don't know if you can just quickly touch on that. How important is it for, even words of affirmation and quality time? Because I know that sometimes in our culture, we say, no, man, as we'd say in our dialect, boy, picking up the ball, you know, make him stay, or you don't want to hug that much, or you don't want to kiss your son because you're like, him for grow tough. So how do we just pretty much balance even that quickly, even as a nation,
Yes.
you know?
Very, very important question, and bringing that in, because it is true, when you know your child, you understand the love language, how they experience love. For some, they love gifts and different gifts, and they thrive on that. Others is the affirmation, well done, proud of you, etc.
Right.
Others, they like the physical touch. You have to hug them, so they would have primary love language. What is important is you're knowing them, and you only know them when you spend time with them, and
Right.
listen to them as they grow. Sometimes we talk a lot and we don't listen, and listen to try and understand. Many times we jump to conclusions and we judge them wrongfully, and then we forget to say sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But we should be big enough, when we are wrong, because remember, we're training them so that they too. And remember, once a man, twice a child. There's gonna come a time when we become the baby and they are in charge, and they're gonna
Right.
remember how they were treated. It is right there in their cognition. So be patient, be kind with them, be fair, yes, be disciplined, but try and know them, so that you can know
Right.
that this person, that's the way that they experience love, that's the way they want to be treated. And I think that can be very, very useful. So thank
Right.
you.
And again, I just want to also just emphasize it's important for the fathers to be affectionate and not
Yes.
say, this is not, boy, pick me this and that. Like, that's not the way.
No,
No,
I
the
must be
sons
honest.
need affirmation
That's
and to
a
be
big,
loved.
big topic.
Right. That's a part two.
Really kissing your son, your daughter, hugging, and allowing them to experience the full range of feelings. Your son is a human being just like your daughter, and God has given
Right.
us all the whole range of feelings for us to be able to experience and to relate to. So we have to break that cycle where we tell our sons that they shouldn't cry or they shouldn't express certain feelings. We
Right.
need to change
Right.
that narrative as
We
well.
don't want them to explode or implode. Indeed, indeed. It was a very great program, Mr. Bailey. A
Thank you.
pleasure having you. You
Um,
always have a
thank
lot of words of wisdom. I know that God has really anointed you for this, and we thank God for you. You are an asset to us as a nation, and even on this program. So we give God thanks for you indeed. And
Thank you for
thanks
Ditto,
having me.
for,
ditto.
Thank you.
yes, yes. You're welcome, Mr. Bailey. And as we wrap up, we want to say thank you for being here with us. And if you have any questions of a personal nature or are concerned about a family member or friend, call us at Family Life Ministries. For our center in Port Moore at 117 Cecile Avenue, you can call 876 939 7917. For more information on our services or for our consulate in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our head office at 876 920 1034 or 876 926 8101. Don't hesitate to call. And please note that appointments can only be made by calling the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs, find us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA. And before we leave you, here is this evening's Bible verse. And the Bible verse comes from Romans 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Over to you,
Amen.
Roland.
Amen. Join us again next week at 5:30 p.m. All right, and you can see us on Love 101 YouTube Live, Facebook, and also hear us on the radio. Thanks to our special guest, Sir Kevin Bailey. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gayle, Open Door Communications, our studio facilitator, Daniel Downs, and of course, you. Stay well, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm Roland saying good evening on behalf of Lady Amanda and myself. Blessings, everybody. Have a good
Everyone,
evening.
have a good evening.